umagal. Join us dito sa Newswatch Plus sa pinakauna naming podcast, Rewatch 2025. Unang-una sa lahat, kasama ko rito sa studio si Amor Santos and Lance Mexico. Bago natin pag-usapan ang isang major highlight ng taon, Merry Christmas sa mga nanonood sa atin at sa inyo. Amor and Lance, anong
Merry
wish nyo
Christmas.
sa Pasko?
This year has been very difficult for us. So, ang Christmas wish ko talaga, better year next year.
That's right, ang daming mga bagyo, lindol, at natural disasters. And also, itong flood control scandal.
Yes.
Ikaw,
Kaya
Lance.
yung wish ko pera. Total, ang dami namin natin
Maibalik ang
binabayaran.
pera.
Oo, maibalik ang pera. Pero kidding aside, talagang yun yung pinaka gusto natin ngayon. Accountability, mapanagot yung mga dapat managot sa ating garapalang korupsyon dito sa flood control scandal.
Yan naman talaga ang gusto ng marami. Sa hindi nakakaalam, si Lance ang nagko-cover ng all things related sa Independent Commission for Infrastructure plus DPWH.
Yes.
Si Amor naman sa Senate na nag-iimbestiga rin sa flood control anomaly. So, how was it for you guys covering something this big na halos araw-araw na topic ng lahat?
Based on my experience, maraming resource persons yung talagang tumatanggi na magpa-interview. Literal na naghahabol tayo sa katotohanan. Coming from the transportation beat, sinundan ko si Secretary Vince Dizon when he transferred to the Department of Public Works and Highways. And yung DPWH relatively napaka-tahimik or tahimik na beat talaga before,
Yes.
diba?
Sa Senate naman kasi, Ms. Mench, as you know, talagang kadalasan may mga marathon hearings,
That's
lalo
right.
na kapag kami ganitong kalalaking mga issues, lalo na involving anomalies in government. Ilang oras kang makikinig ng hearings, and minsan, talaga ang nararamdaman mo lang pagod eh. Pero dito talaga, given the magnitude of the flood control scandal, magagalit at magugulat ka pa rin talaga. Yung mga whistleblowers, mga witnesses, they have different versions of the story, pero isa lang yung confirmed, may pera po talaga na kinurakot.
Nagtatrabaho ka, nag-overtime ka, tapos yung pera na
Exactly.
ibinayad mo as tax, pinagpaguran mo, ay hindi ginastos ng tama.
Nag-cover ako nung very strong super typhoon sa Dagupan, Pangasinan. I remember this particular resident na pinuntahan namin malapit yung bahay nila sa tabing dagat. And sabi niya, may pinakakong flood control project doon sa lugar na yon like years ago. Eh, hindi nila kailangang lumikas kung nagawa yung flood control project. Sabi nga ni ICI Commissioner Babe Singson, there's 1.7 trillion pesos na nailaan from 2016 hanggang 2024 or 2025 sa flood control projects, and yet tuwing may bagyo, may nababaha, and ang dami pa ring namamatay.
It feels like itong flood control scandal has dominated the entire year, di ba? Pero if you look back, nagsimula lang to nung SONA eh. May sinabi pa siya na mahiya naman kayo. Ano yung pinakamalaking nangyari?
I would say, would be the case referral against former Speaker Martin Romualdez na nag-resign din noong September. Yung ICI and DPWH, they recommended plunder charges and several other criminal and administrative charges. Si dating House Appropriations Chairman Zaldico, same with the charges. Pero yung issue doon, I guess, would be bakit plunder? Historically, talagang mahirap patunayan sa korte, and unlike the previous referrals of the DPWH and ICI, wala yung malversation of public funds na historically mas madaling mapatunayan.
There's that entire discussion about Orly Guteza. Nag-iisang witness na talagang nag-implicate directly kay Romualdez. Yung kanyang testimonies ay merong mga kumbaga debate kung dapat bang gamitin, kasi nga nasaan ba si Guteza ngayon? No less than a Manila court ang nagsabing may peking notarial details. And ito naman pong si Zaldico, talagang several witnesses have named him na talagang siya yung itinuturo behind the biggest budget insertions, dahil nga alam natin na nasa ibang bansa si Zaldico mula nung pumutok itong issue na to. Later on, naglabas siya ng videos.
Yes, several.
Yes, several videos na iba naman syempre yung kanyang side of the story. Of course,
Alam mo,
he
parang naging
denied the
Netflix
allegation.
series yung mga videos niya
May
dahil
mga inaabangan talaga every time na maglalabas siya, and inimplicate niya as high as President Marcos.
And
although
the presidential son, House Majority Leader Sandro Marcos.
But the problem there is, it's not a sworn statement. It cannot be accepted as evidence.
Actually, si Zaldico rin yung isa doon sa 8 contractors na tinatawag.
Meron din ganun na nangyari supposedly sa Senado.
yung mga former Senate leaders ang na-implicate dito sa flood control scandal. So there's former Senate President Cheese Escudero, former Senate President pro tempore Jinggoy Estrada, and Majority Leader Joel Villanueva, na they are behind budget insertions and kickbacks. Although, of course, they have denied these allegations already. But, yung amid the flood control scandal, nawala sa kanila yung kanilang mga posisyon. In one of the press conferences nga, Miss Men, sinabi candidly ni Senator Ping Lacson na hindi niya masyadong naintindihan yung ilan sa mga sinabi ng mga Diskaya dahil busy daw sila sa pangangalap ng numero to change the leadership.
And speaking of the Diskayas, para silang Alice Go
Actually,
ng 2025.
I was about to say talagang sila yung unexpected
Oo.
personalities or siguro talagang hindi kilala ng publiko. Talagang naging sorpresa na naging laman sila ng balita. And yung isa nga doon sa pinaka-issue, so Duterte administration pa lang, nakakakubra ng mga kontrata yung Diskaya. Kino-question nga yung mga sasakyan. Nakita ko yung mga luxury cars na yun. I think 5 out of 7 na mga luxury cars yung na-auction ng gobyerno. May mga natitira pa doon yung Rolls Royce. Baka naman Miss Lenshu.
Hindi ba yung payong lang?
Yung payong lang.
Yung payong lang ang kaya nating
Kaya
bilhin.
Pero yung baka yung payong
pwedeng.
2 milyon na daw yun.
Hindi. So, bakit hindi na lang nila ibenta at napalugi?
I
At
think
least
yun yung
meron man lang
Yun yung
maibalik.
isa sa mga options nila kapag dahil hindi na nga na
Okay.
auction for the second time. Pero kung wala talaga, sisirain
At least may maibalik na
na
kahit
pera sa atin.
kapiranggot na pera ng taong bayan. DPWH naman talaga yung agency na naging sentro nitong scandal na to.
Maraming mga hearings yung nandoon sila Bryce Hernandez, Henry Alcantara, JP Mendoza, sila yung mga engineers ng Bulacan 1st District Engineering Office. There's also former Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo na talagang nagpangalan sila ng mga officials, ng mga lawmakers na involved dito sa budget insertions. Itong mga DPWH personnel, nakita natin kung gaano din yung naging connections nila dun sa lawmakers. It's really, sabi nga, para siyang sindikato talaga.
Si former Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo, sinimiti niya yung sarili niyang testimonya na sinabi niya sa Senado sa ICI. And ito yung dahilan kung bakit nire-rekomenda na pakasuhan yung ilang mga mambabatas. Si Roberto Bernardo din ay isa dun sa parang kinoconsider or nag-a-apply bilang state witness. Of all the testimonies, sabi ni ICI Chairman Andres Reyes, naniniwala siya dun sa sincerity. But yung sinasabi rin doon ni Senator Ping Lacson, kailangan magbalik siya ng 1 billion?
Yeah, there's this entire discussion about the restitution. Kung kailangan nga ba talagang magbalik ng pera before one is admitted into the witness protection program.
Bryce Hernandez, he also returned.
Dalawang sasakyan.
Oo, 2 sasakyan.
Si
Tapos
Henry
Alcantara.
110 million pesos na yung naisauli niya. Kung tutuusin, maliit pa yun.
Yes.
Kasi 300 million yung pinapasauli sa kanya.
But would you say na ang bilis ng developments? Parang 5 months pa lang to since pumutok up until now.
Siguro in a sense, may usad itong investigasyon, pero hindi kasi yun yung hinahanap ng publiko ngayon. Yung gusto nila is talagang kung sino yung pinaka-mastermind, as they say.
Although sinasabi nga ni Ombudsman Remulla, talagang nag-institute na sila ng reforms, nag-implement ng reforms para mapabilis.
So, what is going on now?
Business as usual, yung mga senators, even those implicated, kasi wala pa naman talagang na charges na nafo-forward sa Sandigan Bayan involving yung mga senators.
And on the side of ICI, kung sa inyo business as usual, I think yung sa kanila is ang tanong hanggang kailan may independent commission. Dahil ngayon,
Nagre-resign
yung mga commissioners.
Commissioners.
But, there are also lawmakers pushing, parang i-institutionalize
Ma-institutionalize
itong independent commission. Sa ngayon, they started live streaming the hearings, pero hindi, parang mas mabilis kasing i-grant yung executive session.
Sa Senado kasi very seldom gawin yung mga executive session eh. Usually, natatandaan ko yan sa mga hearings or proceedings involving public safety or national security involved. Usually, doon ginagrant yan. So, si Justice and Human Rights Committee Chairman Kiko Pangilinan nga is saying na kung maisasabata sana itong Independent People's Commission, siguro maiiwasan na yung mga executive sessions. Magkakaroon din ng subpoena powers,
Yeah.
hindi lang puro invite ng mga resource persons.
Example,
Yes.
the Diskayas. Hindi na sila nakipag-cooperate. The impression sa Diskayas, they will be considered a state witness kapag nakipag-cooperate.
At marami pang question surrounding the death of former Public Works Undersecretary Catalina Cabral na isa rin sa key figures ng flood control scandal. Kaya't isa sa mga aabangan natin sa susunod na taon ang investigasyon dyan. So far, nakadalawang trillion peso march na.
Very historic yung 2 trillion peso march. Yung una, September 21, that coincides with the martial law anniversary. Pangalawa, Bonifacio Day. Hindi po inaasahan na ganun karami na yung mga Pilipino na galit dito sa korupsyon. Doon, nag-unite yung Catholic Church or yung iba't ibang religious groups. Gayon din yung mga artista.
Biro nga nung iba, ganito kalala yung problema na pati daw mga introverts ay nakalabas ng kanilang bahay at sumama doon sa rally, doon sa protest.
May plano pa ba na masundan itong rally?
I think they're preparing for February 2026 dahil yun yung EDSA People Power anniversary.
What we all can do now ay manatiling mapagmatsyag at patuloy na maghanap ng sagot at accountability sa bilyon-bilyong piso, oportunidad at buhay na nawala sa mga Pilipino. Thank you, Lance and Amor. Makakasama ko pa rin sila sa pagbabalik ng Rewatch 2025 para naman pag-usapan ang mag-amang sina former President Rodrigo Duterte at Vice President Sara. We'll be right back. You're still watching the podcast edition of Rewatch 2025. Kasama ko pa rin sina Amor at Lance and also joining us, Tristan Nodalo. One of the most historic and controversial coverages of the year is former President Rodrigo Duterte being arrested and turned over to the International Criminal Court. Right, Tristan?
Well, that's right, Menchu. No? During the week of March 8, lumabas na yung report na posibleng arestuhin ng International Criminal Court si dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. And you have Malacanang saying it was ready to comply with its Interpol obligations. It was a total shift from the Marcos administration's earlier stance on the prospect of an ICC arrest when there was still a unity. Going back, the former president showed no hesitation on his possible looming arrest kasi in fact nagpunta pa siya sa Hong Kong to meet with his supporters.
True enough, bumalik pa rin sa bansa si former President Duterte. So Amor, you covered that actually nung arrival niya.
Actually, it was former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque yung nagsabi sa social media in a Facebook post na hapon of March 11, yung flight ni former President Duterte pabalik ng bansa. We got information na that morning ay lalapag na yung plane carrying the former president. So, ang ginawa naman natin syempre ay dali-dali tayong nag-rush to NAIA Terminal 3 para doon abangan yung flight ni former President Duterte.
Pero hindi ganun ang nangyari because while all the reporters were there, si Raul Esperas ng DWIZ actually scored an exclusive with then PNP CIDG Chief General Nicolas Torre. So, he confirmed na may taga-PCTC or yung local counterpart ng Interpol ready for Duterte. Di ba, Lance?
Well, we were also monitoring dito doon sa office, no, because it's all unexpected. And then, if I'm not mistaken, nakunan ni Mr. Raul Esperas na naisakay sa PNP
PNP
coaster
coaster.
si dating Pangulong Duterte.
That's right, kasama yung partner niya na
Na
si
si
Hanilet. And then, we got the complete picture later on. Pero kayo, Amor, you were waiting sa NAIA Terminal 3.
Ang una lang na kumausap sa amin sa mga media doon was former President Duterte's former aide, si Senator Bongo. Nandun din si dating Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello and yung lawyer ni Duterte na si Martin Delgra. And ang sinabi lang nila sa amin sa media noon was the former president has been taken away. Wala raw silang nakitang arrest warrant at ang sabi nila that time, hindi nila alam kung saan dadalhin next si former President Duterte. So we later found out na sa Villamor Air Base nga siya dadalhin.
And that was around noon already when you went to Villamor. Pero tumagal hanggang gabi
Yeah.
yung stakeout ninyo. I remember nag-viral pa si Senator Bongo who attempted to enter
With the pizza.
with bringing yung mga kahon-kahon ng pizza.
Pero sobrang higpit kasi ng security at that time. So even si Senator Bongo ay hindi pinapasok.
Pero yung crucial na nangyari dun sa loob ay nanggaling sa mga social media posts.
Yung pinagkukunan ng information was the Instagram stories of the former president's daughter, which is si Kitty
Kitty.
Duterte.
Nakikita naman natin doon sa mga videos na yon kung si Kitty ay very emotional and even yung mom niya na si Hanilet na talagang nagagalit sila sa mga authorities kay Torre na sandadalhin yung kanyang tatay. Si former President Duterte naman ay very calm na nagtatanong doon sa mga authorities na ano yung legal basis nyo for taking me anywhere, ipakita nyo sa akin.
Nung kagabihan na, ay pumunta mismo si VP Sara doon sa Villamor Air Base. Nagpa-interview nga si VP Sara together with Senator Bongo and doon na nila nilabas yung kanilang mga damdamin.
Yung Pangulo mismo, Tristan, was the one who actually humarap sa media right after, right?
Reporters were on standby on that day sa Malacanang waiting for a statement. No, we were told a number of times to wait dahil may magsasalita raw. Then at 11:03 p.m., it was President Bongbong Marcos who said that Duterte was arrested.
Did VP Sara, address yung mga supporters at that time?
As far as I remember, doon sa coverage ko, hindi siya nagsalita doon sa crowd. But it's also because I think they're preparing for her flight dahil
The
day after, sumunod na siya.
Add ko lang, nung September 23, nagkaroon tayo ng pagkakataon na makapunta sa The Hague dahil ito dapat yung araw na masasagawa yung confirmation of charges hearing para sa dating Pangulo. Pero pinuspone ito ng ICC days before the actual confirmation of hearing dahil nga sa iniraise ng defense team ng dating Pangulo pagdating sa kanyang health condition. But still, I was able to spoke with ICC spokesperson Fadi El Abdala kung saan sinabi niyang walang katotohanan yung mga accusation na nakikipagsabuatan yung ICC with the Marcos administration. Naroon din yung mga pamilya ng drug war victim. Meron din doon mga nagpunta ng mga taga-suporta ng dating Pangulo.
Well, habang busy si VP Sara attending to her father in The Hague, matindi naman yung naging debate over her impeachment back home. Kung gaano kabilis yung turn of events sa arrest ng former president, how would you describe the developments surrounding his daughter's impeachment?
There was a fourth impeachment complaint. Medyo matagal yung proseso from December onwards. But in February, one day lang yung kinailangan between the filing and yung pagtatransmit sa Senado ng impeachment complaint.
The articles of impeachment.
Yes. That was the last session
Yes.
day actually. So there was that entire debate kung pwede
yung
nga bang, anong pwedeng
aksyonan?
gawin? Oo, ano nang pwedeng gawin ng Senate kasi matatapos na yung session nila that day.
So, doon nagsimula yung mahabang diskusyon kung ano ba talaga ang ibig sabihin ng forthwith.
Yes.
Well, amid the squabbling among the lawmakers, ano naman yung sinasabi ni VP Sara?
Pero yung pinaka sinasabi niya is, kung siya yung masusunod, she wants a bloodbath trial.
But that didn't happen. Not
Of
even
course.
close. Nag-convene naman ang Senate into an impeachment court on June 10, but that was the first and the last.
Yeah, yet.
Yet. So, what happened next?
Nagulat na lang kami nung araw na yon, nag-convene ang impeachment court but only to vote to decide to return the articles of impeachment doon sa Kamara.
For now, the Senate has archived the impeachment complaint. And dahil nga sa may Supreme Court ruling, 'di ba, nung July 25, they declared it unconstitutional.
Ang ruling ng Supreme Court ay na-violate yung constitutional ban na 1 year dahil fourth impeachment complaint itong ipinasa ng Kamara and ibinigay sa Senado. But of course, there's still discussion, may dinedebate pa yan. Sa ngayon, walang mangyayari sa impeachment complaint unless i-reverse ng Supreme Court yung kanilang ruling.
By February 2026, mag-expire na yung 1-year bar doon sa pag-file ng impeachment. And there are some groups from the progressive bloc na vocal na that they will file a fresh impeachment complaint. But also the interesting part there, nag-iba na yung leadership. We
Yeah.
all know that impeachment is a numbers game.
Yes.
Before, nung na-file yung impeachment na yon, it was still led by the president's cousin, the former House Speaker Martin Romualdez. But now, nagbago na ng liderato sa Kamara, and then, of course, iba na rin yung magiging, kumbaga, 2 years away from the elections na.
And also another set of preparations
Yeah.
for the impeachment trial trial. Kasi kung matatandaan natin, sinundan natin even preparations yung mga robes na
Yes.
sinukat at pinagawa para sa mga
Magkano rin
senator
kaya yun,
judges. Oo, nagsukatan pa sila ng
Pwede
mga
ba yun gamitin
impeachment
ulit?
robe.
Pero ni-refurbish din nila, di ba?
Mm-hmm.
Yung witness stand na ginamit during the corona impeachment trial. And
Although, ang sinabi ni Senator Escudero, nasa 1 million pesos daw yung ginastos lang naman nung time na yun. But
Lang.
still, this is still a public funds,
Yes.
hindi ba?
And at
So,
that time, may mga 19th Congress pa yun, di ba? So,
Yes.
may mga dadagdag na senador doon sa batch na yun.
That's right. So we definitely have two highly controversial proceedings involving the Dutertes na aabangan pa rin natin sa 2026. Of course, former President Duterte remains in the ICC as the tribunal junked the request for
Yeah.
interim release. Tapos yung impeachment that could again happen dahil tapos na yung one-year bar. So what is Malacanang saying in all of these, Tristan?
Well, Mensch, as far as the Duterte's ICC case, Malacanang naman tried to distance itself from meddling or commenting on the development of Duterte's ICC case, but with some exemptions. Halimbawa, kapag nagagamit yung mga pahayag ng palasyo ng defense team ng dating Pangulo, dito pumapalag talaga, lalo na si Communications Undersecretary Claire Castro. But so far, when it comes to the case of the former president, the ICC has rejected the interim release of the former president mula pre-trial chamber hanggang appeals chamber kasi naniniwala ang ICC na may kakayahan pa rin ang dating Pangulo na tumakas, mag-interfere sa proceedings o di kaya ay gumawa ng krimen dahil sa kanyang impluensya sa politika. So ang inaabangan na lang natin ngayon ay ano nga ba ang magiging desisyon ng ICC pagdating sa medical condition ng Pangulo at kung siya ba ay fit to stand trial. Pero para naman sa impeachment ni Vice President Sara Duterte, ilang beses na rin naman sinabi ng palasyo na nasa kapangyarihan nito ng Kongreso kung maghahain ng panibagong impeachment complaint.
I think it's also a challenge for the Marcos administration kasi from within the Marcos family, hindi naman maitatago na meron talagang staunch Duterte ally in Senator and Presidential Sister Amy Marcos. Mas naging evident ngayon, I think this year, dahil dito sa impeachment trial, even yung ICC arrest ni former President Duterte,
Pinaimbestigahan.
si Senator Amy mismo yung nag-lead nung Congressional Investigation Inquiry into the alleged illegal arrest and turnover to the ICC.
Also important to note, no, because we all know that the midterm elections happened this year. Nung umpisa, miyembro pa si Senator Amy ng Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas, and yet kumala siya. She was endorsed by the Vice President. So
Meron pa silang video together.
yes, yung itim ang kulay ng Pilipinas.
That's right. I think that one of the more powerful things that came out with regards to, the relationship between the presidential sister and the president himself was that video that she released,
Yeah.
diba? Questioning how fit her brother is to lead, considering she made accusations of drug use.
Siya mismo, Miss Mench,
Oo.
yung pumunta dun sa Iglesia ni Cristo rally.
Hati yung opinion ng mga tao because she was one of the
Of
staunchest
course.
supporters of the Uni Team, right?
She was behind the Uni
behind the
Team.
Uni Team. So parang sinasabi ng mga tao, bakit mo pinatakbo yung
Exactly.
kapatid
Kung
mo?
alam mo
Kung
naman
alam mo naman
pala.
pala talaga na may problema siya ever since
Ang
then.
sinabi niya naman dun sa speech niya ay ilang beses daw kasi na nagsasabi si President Marcos sa kanya na magbabago. And as a sister daw ay talagang binibigyan niya ng chance. But of course, lahat ng mga ito ay dininay ni President
That's right.
Marcos. So grabe yung political family drama talaga.
Political family drama, because at the end of the day, it's all politics. Right? Family drama. And we should really not forget, ano ba talaga yung issue? Which is extrajudicial killings.
Sa ICC arrest.
That's right. Human rights violations, di ba?
Still with
Drug-
ICC.
Drug addiction. Sa impeachment, obviously, yung allegedly yung misuse
Of
ng
public
pera
funds.
ng taong bayan, which is also now happening with the investigations into the corruption in the flood control.
So I think the public shouldn't forget the 125 million peso confidential funds sina Mary Grace Piatos dahil hanggang ngayon wala pa rin namang resolusyon sa issue na ito.
And to be honest about it, parang natabunan na nga itong
Yes.
issue na to. Kung ikukumpara mo dun sa magnitude naman ng flood control corruption scandal.
And also, we have to remember na ilang taon na lang ay 2028 national elections na kung iyahadal pa rin natin yung mga pare-parehong mga tao para rin tayong gumagawa ng mga pare-parehong problema.
Alright, thank you, Lance, Amor, and
Thank you.
Tristan. Makakasama ko pa rin si Tristan mamaya para pag-usapan ang pinakamalalaking global events ngayong taon. Rewatch 2025 will be right back. You're still watching the podcast edition of Rewatch 2025. Kasama ko pa rin si Tristan Odalo na nagko-cover ng foreign affairs. And joining us as well is Newswatch Plus business news anchor Lois Calderon na nagko-cover naman ng defense at business. So Tristan, let's start with you, no? Gaano kaalon o kapayapa ang taong 2025 para sa West Philippine Sea?
Well, Menchu, kung ikukumpara natin yung mga nakalipas na taon sa taong 2025, bahagyang nabawasan yung mga insidente sa West
And
Philippine
that's
Sea.
partly because of the diplomatic talks tulad nung provisional understanding ng Beijing and Manila sa ayungin, right?
Kasi kung matatandaan natin noong mga nakaraang taon, mainit na issue yung paghahatid ng mga supply sa BRP Sierra Madre sa Ayungin.
But that doesn't mean na walang inalmahang insidente ang Pilipinas.
Kung titingnan natin ang record ng Department of Foreign Affairs, nasa 47 yung diplomatic protest na inihain ng Pilipinas laban sa China para sa taong 2025 at nasa higit 240 naman sa mula nang magsimula yung Marcos administration.
At mas naging mainit din ang sitwasyon sa Scarborough Shoal ngayong taon, right Lois?
Oo, medyo nag-escalate ang tension simula nung diniklara ng China na isang nature reserve yung Scarborough Shoal. Yung sa atin, ang tawag natin dyan ay Bajo de Masinloc because of its proximity to Zambales, just 100 or more nautical miles or kilometers from Zambales.
What was the biggest incident that marked 2025?
Nitong Agosto, kapwa barko ng China ang nagkabanggaan sa isa't isa dahil habang tinatuboy nila yung Philippine Coast Guard mula sa Scarborough Shoal na meron sana kasi silang humanitarian mission sa mga mangingisda doon. Itong banggaan o collision ng Chinese Coast Guard at ng PLA Navy, People's Liberation Army Navy ng China, naku, naging headline yan dito sa Pilipinas at sa China, sa international news rather.
Yeah.
Oo, tas hindi doon natapos ang tensyon dahil isang linggo lang matapos yung collision na yon ay rumesbak ang China at nagpadala ito ng mga rigid hull boats na armado at mga vessels na meron pang kasamang drones at aerial systems dun sa Ayungin Shoal.
Kaya naman siguro yung Pilipinas tuloy-tuloy na pinapalawak ang defense cooperation nito sa ibang bansa o visiting forces agreement. Anong mga bansa ba ito, Lois?
Dalawang defense agreements yung nilagdaan ng Pilipinas at ito yung mga bansa sa New Zealand at sa Canada. Susunod na dyan ang France na magiging kauna-unahang European nation na meron tayong defense pact at bukod sa France ay meron pa ibang European nations na nanliligaw sa Pilipinas. Yan nga yung UK at ang Italy.
Pero naratipika din yung mga visiting forces agreement sa pagitan ng Japan at Pilipinas, right? It was ratified.
Yeah. This year,
Yeah.
matagal na nilagdaan yung defense agreement between Japan and Philippines. But it was ratified this year and then came into force in September. Nito nga lamang nakaraang buwan, nitong Nobyembre, ay nakasama tayo sa kauna-unahang bilateral naval exercises between Japan and the Philippines. Ito yung cross-deck landing ng isang Philippine Navy helicopter na anti-submarine. Ito ay naglanding. Ang galing nung nung naval exercises. It's a spectacle really. Naglanding yung helicopter ng Philippine Navy dun sa Japanese destroyer na Harusame. 5 beses siyang pabalik-balik. Ito ay practice kasi mention na kung sakali magyera, numipis yung fuel ng aircraft natin. O kahit ng Japan, pwede silang sumampa sa magkakaalyadong barko ng warship ng magkaalyadong bansa at para mag-refuel.
Pero these, visiting forces agreements are not just for war games, di ba? Meron din itong humanitarian components. Kasi I remember yung Japanese forces ay tumulong din nung tumama yung lindol sa Bugo, Cebu. They also provided aid during yung mga bagyo at iba pang mga sakuna. Am I right?
True. Kasi itong Visiting Forces Agreement na ito, yun nga, pinapayagan yung deployment ng troops, not only for military drills, but for missions like that, humanitarian.
You know, Menchu, ang China, pagdating sa mga issue ng defense partnerships at mga exercises na ginagawa ng Pilipinas kasama ang mga like-minded partners ito, kahit sabihin ng Pilipinas na hindi nito tinatarget ang China, para sa mata ng Beijing ay Pilipinas ang mahilig gumawa ng gulo o provocation sa karagatan.
Napaulit-ulit na rin namang itinatanggi ng Pilipinas.
Kung susuriin natin, mas madami po yung naging war games ngayong taon sa tala ng Navy, ay 18 military drills, multilateral sa bilateral, between these allied nations and the Philippines, compared to 8 last year.
And nakasama kayo sa balikatan exercises, right?
Oo, Menchu, at isa nga yung pribilehiyo, no, na yung US balikatan, kasi hindi nga naman civilian makakapanood noon, balikatan US and Philippines. Nakasama rin din tayo sa Australian Alon exercises, military drills. Gayon din naman sa India, nagdala ng BrahMos missile system mula sa kanilang warship, at meron din naman ang France at meron din nga ang Japan.
And one unique aspect of those exercises is that it was conducted in Batanes for the first time, right?
Yeah, and it's a very strategic, Batanes na. Kung isipin mo, flashpoint nga rin ba ito? Nung kasing balikatan, ang US nagdala pa ng bago niyang modernong missile system. Ito nga yung Nemesis at HIMARS saka MADIS. So nilagay niya yun sa Batanes at may live fire na nangyari naman ng MADIS dun sa Zambales. Ang Japan din ay nagpaplano mag-install ng missile system sa northern border na malapit nga sa Taiwan. That irks China because of the proximity.
Speaking of Taiwan, matatandaan din natin na si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, sinabi niyang madadamay talaga ang bansa sa oras na sumiklab ang gulo sa Taiwan dahil libu-libong mga OFW ang naroon dahil sa lapit
yung proximity nito.
sa Pilipinas.
So kaya ang China, galit na galit nga doon.
Lalo na't umiiral pa rin sa Pilipinas yung tinatawag na One China policy.
Let's go naman to the White House ngayon. Let's talk briefly about the US tariffs ni US President Donald Trump. Ano na nangyari doon, Lois?
O nga, Menchu, lahat tayo nagulat, no? Dahil sa announcement ng tarifa. Imagine mo, dati, yung semiconductors natin, 0%. Ibig sabihin, mas mura nga naman yung mga produkto. Pero ngayon, 17% noong Abril. Tapos, nagbago na naman, come June or July, naging 20%. Kaya na-puwersa yung ating economic team na tumulak sa Washington para magkaroon ng negosasyon. So, ngayon, ang huling announcement nila, 19%
Yes.
for most of the products. Pero meron tayong exemptions, yan yung mga semiconductors, of course, still the largest export product of the Philippines to the US. And also ito yung pinakabago, yung ating nyog, saka pinya, kokwa at saging.
Wonderful. One last major global story of this year ay ang pagpanaw rin ni Pope Francis at ang pagpalit ni Pope Leo. So, Tristan, you followed this story closely and even went to the Vatican a month after this historic moment.
Well, Menchu, nakita natin kung paano pinagdasal ng buong mundo si Pope Francis noong nakikipaglaban siya sa karamdaman, lalo na nitong Abril, no? Hanggang sa tuluyan siyang pumanaw noong April 21, Easter Monday pa noon. At pagkatapos naman ito ay umusad na agad yung conclave para makapili ng susunod na Santo Papa noong sumunod na buwan. At tumagal yung conclave ng 2 araw. Kaya kahit madaling araw dito sa Pilipinas, talagang nakatutok ang mga Pilipino sa usok na lalabas sa Sistine Chapel.
That's right, tayong lahat dito. Walang tulugan.
Lalo na't isa nga sa mga papabili o yung mga posibleng maging Santo Papa ay si Luis Cardinal Antonio Tagle. Pero on May 8, tuluyan nang ipinakilala ang Augustinian priest na si Robert Francis Prevost na kinilala na sa pangalang Pope Leo XIV. Alam mo, nagkaroon tayo ng pagkakataon ding makabisita sa Vatican isang buwan matapos siyang maluklok bilang Santo Papa at nasaksihan natin yung pagbisita at nakausap din tayo ng ilang mga Pilipino roon.
Ano yung mga pag-asa nila sa bagong Santo Papa?
Tumaasa sila na sa ilalim ni Pope Leo XIV ay magpapatuloy yung mga reforma sa simbahang Katolika at mas magpapatatag ito ng kanilang pananampalataya.
Thank you, Lois and Tristan. Sa ating pagbabalik, makakasama ko naman si Christine Jacob Sandejas para i-rewatch ang highlights ng taon sa sports at showbiz. We'll be right back. You're still watching the podcast edition of Rewatch 2025. Kasama ko naman ngayon our very own Olympian sa Newswatch family, Sports Watch anchor Christine Jacob Sandejas. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Menchu, and of course to our viewers, welcome to our first ever podcast. 2025 just, came
Flew
and
by.
went. Yeah, flew
Exactly.
by.
Very proud moments of Philippine sports this year made by Alex Ayala. Parang every time nag-check ako ng cellphone, may bago na naman siyang history-making moment.
Everybody knows who Alex Ayala
That's right.
is because of this year. Wild card first up in Miami and end up becoming the Giant Slayer.
That's right.
Beating a lot of decorated
Higher
Oh,
seeded.
for sure. For
Oo.
sure. Higher seeded. I mean, she was just 149.
That's right.
We Filipinos had a lot of sleepless nights. we
Watching.
were watching and cheering. She went all the way to the semifinals.
Now she's in the top 50.
The top 50s. I mean, she is definitely the Filipina that has made a lot of firsts. Grand Slam, U.S. Open. She also, won her first match in the U.S. Open.
But what has changed for her personally?
From the interview that I've had with her, one of the main things that she actually did was to build herself physically.
But it also takes a lot of mental fortitude, huh?
And that is one thing that she said that she and her team coming into Miami was to believe that she can. And she is something that a lot of Filipinas, young Filipinas, can now look up to.
And one of the good impacts nga out of this is yung visibility. So nagkaroon din ng interest in the grassroots programs, schools.
And grassroots, it starts from there. It has to start when you're young, and then you develop the discipline, you develop the sacrifice, you develop the drives and the goal. And because we have an Alex Ayala that's already out there, we get more financial support to send more athletes abroad, get them the exposure we need.
Speaking of opening the doors, one athlete who really opened the doors for Philippine gymnastics is Carlos Yulo. Diba? A lot has happened since he won the double gold back in 2024.
But the Paris was the exclamation point.
That's right. It cemented
It
him
cemented
in history.
him in history.
And he took a break from
did,
gymnastics
5
for a
months.
while,
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
he came back in 2025.
He had 2 major tournaments this year with the Asian Championships in South Korea, wherein he garnered the gold and he got in the floor exercises for men and 3 bronze medals. Came back again.
Came back
in
Exactly,
Jakarta.
in Jakarta.
And now with his brother
Yeah.
also coming into the picture.
That's right, Carl Eldrew. He actually qualified for 4 finals events when the Philippines hosted the Junior Worlds, right? So that's also another huge deal that
Yes.
we hosted. Do you think that the Yulo brothers are bound to compete?
That is the dream that they want to compete in LA Olympics in 2028. But for now, Carl Eldrew is moving on to the seniors division, and then from there he's going to get more training internationally.
Well, another historic and big event this year was the first International Series Philippines. So you were there.
I was there. I was able to, to witness as it unfolded, in Santa Elena. I am so impressed to have also to witness Filipinos go from hole to hole.
Yes.
Watching the best of the best golfers go at it.
You were able to speak with Tabuena.
One thing that I remember the most interviewing Miguel was saying that, although he's very comfortable with
Yes.
Santa Elena, it is his home course. He knows it, like the back of his hand, right? But it's the added pressure.
Parang the pressure is
The
more
pressure, I think it's more
to
pressure.
do well in front of your countrymen, no?
I think, all eyes on you. He did well. I mean, he survived his nerves.
Hole
he
in
did
one.
well. Hole in one.
That's right.
He played consistently, 69, 65, 65, and that's hard for golfers to do. Having the ISP here in the Philippines really did a lot and will continue to do a lot because it's going to come back again. For the Filipino golfers, because they will be able to participate, experience, to go against the best of the best.
Which is exactly what Alas men's national team did when we hosted the FIVB Men's World Volleyball Championships.
I mean, I want to say, isa pa yan. Isa pa yan. This team, Alas Pilipinas, trained hard, maybe a year or so, and the coaches actually saw tremendous improvement. They say it's the magic Alas Pilipinas.
That's
They
right.
have
At Christine, humabol pa nga bago matapos ang taon yung 33rd Southeast Asian Games. We've sent the largest number of contingents this year at 1,600. We brought home 200 plus medals and several historic gold wins.
It's like a year of triumphs for many Filipinos. So from sports and even in pageantry, music, even sa films, di ba? And in pageants, parang ang dami nating mga wins.
Well, we've always excelled. Speaking from experience, but taking from a beauty queen right here, with me. But yeah, we've always pageantry is in our DNA.
And there are so many pageants across the globe,
Yes,
the world,
yes,
the universe, and
yes.
there was so much controversy surrounding this one. The crowning of Fatima Bosch.
I saw one interview of Fatima. She talked a little bit about the walkout and yes, how the women actually supported her. But then when she won, she said, then I had hate. But our very own Atisa Manalo, instead of joining whatever
The bandwagon.
that was happening, she said, let's just move on.
She was saying, I just want to, focus on my advocacies and move forward and do something positive in the world. Something that I want to point out, though, is that it's not just our queens that are gaining recognition globally, but also, our Filipino designers as well as our pageant trainers. Now, the international queens actually come and hire Filipino designers to do their gowns and also to train them for the Q&A and pasarela.
It's also nice at the Philippines that we just don't focus on maybe like the top 4 major beauty pageants, but we actually, we want to make Pacquiao. We want to do it. We want to do it all. We want to know, is there a beauty pageant? Yes, we can do that.
And something else that is in our DNA is really music, diba?
But it skipped us, right?
Yeah, it skipped us. Most
Skipped
definitely.
me. I don't know about you, but it definitely skipped me.
They say it skips a generation, so it's probably us. Have you checked your Spotify?
Well, so it did skip a generation. It
Yeah.
skipped me, but didn't skip my son. So my Spotify is all with Paulo Sandejas music. Check him out.
Cup of Joe
Cup
as
of
well.
Joe. I wanna see
Their
Cup of
song
Joe,
Multo was the most streamed local song on Spotify.
Sinundan yan ng Tibok at Marilag. Pero reigning supreme pa rin si Taylor Swift as overall most streamed artist. Followed siya by Cup of Joe, Ariana Grande, SZA at Nicki. 6 naman ang Philam na si Bruno Mars at pasok din sa top 10 ang December Avenue at si Dionela.
And of course, the reunion of Four of Spades,
Yeah,
which
but I mean-
surprised everyone.
People are saying that, their song, their sound is just different because they have already, gained a lot of maturity individually. They are sounding better than ever.
This was a big year for Philippine cinema. You have Sunshine of Maris Racal. It brought major wins to the local industry. So, saan una siya nanalo? I think it was in Berlin, right?
yeah. Then finally made its way in local cinemas.
Speaking of movies that finally were shown on Philippine shores, we have the documentary Food Delivery. This was the West Philippine Sea documentary na hinarang ng China sa Film Fest sa New Zealand. So, nakausap ko yung director and she was saying that she was so thankful that kahit muntik na naman na hindi maipalabas yung documentary, she was thankful that the organizers of the New Film Fest actually put their foot down and said no.
So now people are probably more curious, and this is a nice way of creating more awareness for what's actually happening in the West Philippine Sea.
Before we end though, Christine, let's take a moment to honor the artists we said goodbye to in 2025. A year of triumphs, comebacks, and so many firsts, but also a year of remembering the legends who shaped our industry.
And as we close 2025, may we always remember, of course, the victories that inspire us and also not forget as to why the stories really matter.
Thank you for joining us sa podcast edition ng Rewatch 2025 at salamat sa inyong patuloy na pagsuporta at pagsubaybay sa Newswatch Plus.